Yeah, I think he's okay. Perfect. So I think Dinshaw, I saw you on. You should be
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
share your slides now,
Okay.
and I think the floor is yours if you want to get going.
Can you see the slides? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
we can
super.
hear you. We can see your slides. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So my name is Dincho Italia. I'm the CFO of Soldo. I'll probably spend 10 to 15 minutes to give you some background about Soldo and the platform, and then after that, open it up to questions. Soldo is a spend management platform. The company was founded in 2015. The management team has extensive experience within banking, software, finance sectors, and of course, a lot of experience in building scalable platforms. We've raised over 80 million euros from top tier VCs. We're regulated by the FCA, the CBI, so fully Brexit ready. And we're headquartered in London with offices in Dublin, Rome, and Milan. So spend is the lifeblood of every company. And our vision is to manage all spend for businesses of all shapes and sizes. Our platform, product, and technology has been built to scale to be able to do this. And we also aim to become the system of record for all payments and expenditure, whether they're incurred within this Soldo platform or outside. So what are the pain points that companies face when they look at spend? The first is lack of control. So controlling spend is very difficult. It involves multiple people, departments, locations, and often you get surprises of overspend. So with Soldo, we give company tools to control spend at source. Delegation is also a problem because banks can't provide granular access to money. Payments are generally centralized with few people controlling the release of payments, and it creates a bottleneck. So I think it sits with the CFO or the finance team, and they are the ones who control the release of spend. Soldo allows you to delegate the execution of payments in a controlled environment within specific permissions and rules. Also, it's a very inefficient process. So finance teams today lose days chasing receipts, reconciling invoices, copying data onto accounting systems. Soldo is an automated system that addresses all these pain points and also integrates directly with your accounting system. And then finally, one of the biggest pain points we find is that there's a lack of visibility of spend. Spend tracking takes weeks or months later, and no action can be taken because you only know about the spend much later, and it prevents you from overspending or making proper decisions. Since we own our entire tech stack, we are able to provide real-time visibility of spend. So today, companies use Soldo for any spend which can be made via a card payment, whether it's a physical card or whether it's a virtual card. So whether it's travel and entertainment where you're using a physical card, whether it's recurring expenses or recurring payments like software subscriptions where you'd use a virtual card, e-commerce, fuel and mobility, facilities management and events management where you may use both physical and virtual cards, and digital advertising. A lot of our customers use Soldo for digital advertising as well, where you use virtual cards and where you want to control the spend. We try and bring all the spend in one place. So what we try and do is mirror the organizational structure of your business. So example, if you have a marketing department that's split into PR, performance marketing, and brand building, you can set up the platform to mirror this and then create wallets and cards to enable you to control and see the visibility of spend by that department, the team, or the individual. You can then allocate money to different wallets and can create multi-currency wallets and assign cards to the relevant wallets, allowing the company to pay for expenditure in the relevant currency. So you would have a euro card for a euro payment, and therefore you reduce the currency risk at a transaction level. Then our management platform allows companies to set up roles and permissions so you can set who can see and who can control which areas of spend. So a chief marketing officer could be set up to control and have real-time visibility of all marketing spend by the various marketing categories. Or your CFO could be set up to view and control the entire spend of the company. So you can set it up in the way that you want. You can then set budgets. You can set monthly budgets, weekly budgets, daily budgets. You can set up automatic transfers, automatic top-ups based on the criteria that you want. So for example, if a particular balance reaches a low level, you can at that point in time say automatically transfer a certain amount to it. And then you can actually, what Soldo allows you to do is set up granular spending controls. So for a physical card or a virtual card, you could allow or disallow online payments. You can switch off contactless payments. You can allow or disallow ATM use. You can control which geographical locations a card can be used in. Or you could have a card that can be used only for a single transaction. You can control which expense categories the card can be used in. So you can switch on, for example, the card cannot be used for gambling, or allow the card only to be used for fuel payments, or only for digital marketing. So if you try and use a card outside the rules, the card will automatically be declined, and the relevant person will be informed of the unauthorized use. Because we own our own tech stack and we own our own e-money license in UK and Europe, we are also a principal member of MasterCard, and therefore we issue our own cards. We are able to capture all the relevant details of any transaction in real time. So you actually don't have to input things like the merchant name, the amount, the time, and the date. We also have a very sophisticated app that, in addition to allowing you to capture the spend as incurred and attaching receipts, it also allows you to perform most of the functionality of the platform within the app itself. So whether you want to access spend analysis for the entire company based on the permissions that you have, or you want to set budgets, or you want to allocate money to wallets, or you want to set granular controls of the cards that we just discussed, everything can be done through the app itself and also through the platform if you want. You can also create bespoke drop-down lists. So example, if you're a service company, you could have a drop-down list of all your clients so that when an expense is incurred, the relevant client can be chosen from the drop-down list and you can tag it. So later you can pull out a report of all expenses relating to that client and you can bill them for it. You can set up auto tags that save you time and effort. So basically there are rules to tag expenses. So example, if there's an Uber expense, you can set it up to automatically pull in the zero rated VAT category. You can automatically pull in the taxi nominal code that's in your accounting system. So the user does not have to input anything at all. They just attach the receipt and the transaction is then automatically recorded into the accounting system. Of course, there's a full audit trail available. You can download reports in multiple formats, and you can also download reports with all the receipts automatically attached. Obviously, Soldo provides real-time analytics and insights, so you can see the spend analysis by company, by department, by team, by individual, by spend category, by merchant, or any combination that you want. We can integrate with the client's ERP systems, the accounting software, or any other business systems through our Soldo integration platform, which uses business APIs. So we're a cloud-based system that's very, very easy to implement. Some of our customers can be up and running within 24 hours. We have a very cost-effective SaaS pricing model. So when you look at Soldo and you want to summarize it, it sort of gives you granular control over spending, including budget setup. It removes the payment bottlenecks that allows you to delegate payments within specified rules. It removes inefficiencies and saves time from chasing receipts, carrying on reconciliations, manually posting things into accounting systems. By doing all this through our automated process and platform, and of course, it gives you real-time visibility and analytics of spend, either for the whole company, for a particular department, for a team, or an individual, or a supplier. So in effect, Soldo exists to liberate businesses from the spending chaos. I want to now hand over to Stuart, who's our Chief Revenue Officer, just to take us through some of the customers that we have and maybe talk a little bit about before we ask for questions.
Thanks, Dinshaw. So if you look at this is just a subsection of our customer base, and clearly we cover most, if not all, industry vertical sectors. So we don't have a specific vertical sector we look after. All of these customers will come to us either for control, visibility, or efficiency gains. So Dinshaw touched on many of the use cases that the Soldo runs with. But if I pick out a few of these, just to give examples, Fremantle Media, for example, they're a big production company. So The Apprentice and Britain's Got Talent, for example, they had a huge problem with a lot of cash in the business for wardrobe and for runners, etc. But they also had the challenge of being able to reconcile each production against its cost base. So with Soldo, what they've been able to do is set up expense centers and virtual wallets per production. So at any one time, they know exactly which one of their productions is costing and how much it's costing. So at point of transaction, they can report against those productions. Brooks Running, big trainer company you would have known. They came to us initially with a T&E problem. So the amount of time it was taking their employees to fill in manual reports, capture receipts, and the amount of time it was taking for finance to be able to reconcile those receipts was huge. So very quickly with Soldo, they've managed to gain the efficiency back to the employees, but also from an HR point of view, they've seen a much higher level of engagement, employee engagement, because they're no longer needed or required to use their own money for business expenses. So very quickly, Soldo has become an enablement tool for employees, not just a simple way of replacing T&E. Matalan, they have multiple drivers. So the first port of call for Matalan was logistics. So they were looking at their field-based teams, so their drivers, and also looking at T&E, but also marketing spend. So now they have Facebook cards, they have Google cards. They're able to start to look at their marketing spend, but actually give some real-time visibility of spend versus return. And we can go across any of these. They're all based around efficiency gains, control, and visibility. So with that, I'll open it up to questions for me or Dinshaw.
Thanks, Stuart and Dinshaw. Comprehensive presentation. You answered my question about whether this was on-prem or browser-based, so thanks for that. What about sort of training and support? You know, there seems to be a lot of bells and whistles with Soldo. What does a typical implementation look like? You know, when you onboard a client, is there sort of a training package to know what to do and the integration piece? Like maybe could you walk us through a little bit of that, how that works?
Absolutely. So actually, yeah, it has got lots of bells and whistles, but the system itself is very intuitive. So if you look at a typical onboarding session, a big chunk of that will be the KYC process. So actually onboarding the business and doing the relevant anti-money laundering checks that any e-money business will have to do. But you can be up and running from that point within 24 hours. And up and running means a platform in the web console has been provisioned, and cards can be out to location within 2 to 4 days if plastic, but instantly if they're virtual cards. The joy of this is that anybody who's used a debit card, credit card previously already has the mechanism for using Soldo. Everything else is done in the back end. So all the MCC data, all of the transaction capture is purely through a mobile app, and you are walked through that at the point of transaction. So it's very self-explanatory. The more challenging piece is probably setting up and automating the funding of accounts and funding of cards. So what we do have is a customer success team that helps walk through that onboarding. So right now, we don't actually charge for training. What we do is put it through the customer success person, which will be dedicated to each company we onboard, and they help them walk through the process. And that's not just a one-off process. So we'll do that in the initial phases, and within a couple of hours, the system will be up and running. And then you learn as you go, and you look at the trends through the reporting platform that's part of Soldo, and you can start adapting and changing the mechanisms for loading cards and loading virtual wallets. So that customer success person stays with you throughout that journey. Sorry, also with integrations, we have a technical team internally, so that is a Soldo-based team. With integrations, as you know, each one is custom. So what we usually do when we're starting to talk about using the Open API, we will engage our development team, and we'll link those in with any of the customers and really understand what it is they're trying to achieve. And then we'll scope out a piece of work from there.
Great. Thank you. So just, I know you talked about the commercial model being a SaaS model, but would there be sort of a professional services or implementation fee at the front end, and then is it a per user fee?
So it's a per user fee, and users in our world are really based around the number of cards, but actually the value is around the platform itself. So that's the SaaS, which is very simple. So you just think about it as a per user per month fee. There are no upfront professional services fees. As we say, because it is cloud-based, because we can provision the system very quickly, there's no charge. That is all about getting the customer up, working, spending, and capturing that information that they need. With the API, then that is on a custom basis. So depending on what you're trying to achieve, then we would obviously scope out that piece of work and figure out how much time that's needed. We've done a number of integrations on custom builds. They're usually fairly quick. The whole way of development and the way the open APIs work nowadays makes it much more sustainable as a model.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you support any cryptocurrencies? Like, you allow for the buying and selling of them?
We avoid that right now. It's an area our risk and compliance teams are looking at. But yeah, it's a whole different market for us. So I think right now, no. It may be in the future.
Okay. And you guys are on the MasterCard network?
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. So anywhere MasterCard is used, then Soldo will work in the same way.
I think we have a question in the chat.
So we're regulated by the FCA.
Yeah.
So I've just seen that. Yeah. So we're regulated by the FCA in the UK. Dinshaw, you may want to talk a bit more about the regulation, but we have two entities effectively. We have Soldo Financial Services, which is the regulated entity which deals with the e-money and the FCA, and then we have Soldo Limited, which is the software piece of the business. So the two are separate but linked.
Yeah, and we have two regulated entities, one in Europe, in Ireland, and one in the UK. So, and that's what I mentioned, that we are Brexit ready, so we could deal with any European country.
It's great to hear that someone's Brexit ready. That's good.
Yeah, it makes it sound simple the way Dinshaw positions that, but yeah, that was some level of work from the team.
Cool. Thank you. Any other questions from EDP?
Hi, good afternoon. It's Christina Locke. I apologize. I actually missed part of your presentation, but I did have a look at your company beforehand, as we had access to the names. So I was just wondering, perhaps you've already gone through this. This is not a substitute for corporate credit cards.
So it depends on what you mean by substitute. What we tend to find is companies who bring Soldo on will bring them on in a certain use case, and then eventually they will end up replacing their corporate credit cards. But we are not a credit facility. So it depends on what you're using the corporate credit cards for. So yes, we can replace, but we can also work alongside corporate credit cards. Corporate credit cards, when we're talking to corporate credit cards, tend to be for the exec teams or for certain procurement processes, but less so for the vast majority of procurement, the long tail of procurement, or the long tail of expense and spend management across the rest of the business. So yeah, we tend to find we work alongside until such time companies realize that actually with the corporate credit cards, you're getting less visibility and less control, and you're having to go through statements at the end of the month or the quarter, etc. But we are a prepaid business, not a credit business.
Oh, understood. So sort of like a pay-as-you-go system where you could just charge for the majority of employees their petty cash expenses?
Yeah, in the simplest terms, yes, absolutely. I think with prepaid, when I joined Soldo, I always had the kind of view that prepaid was gift cards and things like that. We are what I would call intelligent prepaid. So it's not just a question of loading a card and that's it, done. You may have missed the part from Dinjor with regards to the controls, but actually money can be moved around on cards, wallets, etc., and be pulled back with prepaid gift cards. It's done. Once the money's on the card, it's kind of there and done. There's no control element.
Oh, no, absolutely. No, I actually looked at your website and I understood perfect. You had like a little play demo. And so yeah, I could understand that it's interactive. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Perfect. I think we're sort of up on time, but if there are any other questions, obviously EDP can reach out to you directly, Stuart. Thanks for putting your email here on the screen. And yeah, thanks so much for the presentation. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.